Join me as I dig deep into the signs of narcissism that people often overlook in everyday life. Narcissism is all around us, and I'm not just talking about the obvious cases. I'm talking about the ones that fly under the radar, the ones that can slip into our lives unnoticed. It's estimated that around 1 in 25 people have narcissistic personality disorder. But I believe the number is much higher when we consider the subtle ways it can manifest in our daily interactions. One of the biggest challenges in identifying narcissism is that it can be incredibly subtle. It's not always about grand entrances and loud boasts. Sometimes it's about the quiet, manipulative tactics that can be easy to overlook. We might brush it off as someone just being confident or charismatic, but in reality, they might be using those traits to control and manipulate others. We might even admire their charm and wit, without realizing the harm they're causing. It can be incredibly hard to spot, especially if we're not looking for it. Another challenge is that narcissism can manifest in very different ways. Some people might be loud and boastful, while others might be more reserved and introverted. Some might use their charm to get what they want, while others might use guilt trips or emotional manipulation. And sometimes, it can be as simple as someone being extremely self-absorbed, always talking about themselves and never showing any interest in others. It's not just about recognizing the signs, it's also about understanding the motivations behind them. Why does someone need to constantly talk about themselves? Why do they need to be the center of attention? What are they trying to hide or compensate for? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves when we're dealing with someone who might be exhibiting narcissistic behavior. Covert narcissism is a type of narcissism that can be particularly difficult to spot. These are the people who might appear to be humble or self-effacing, but are actually very self-absorbed and lacking in empathy. They might use faux humility to manipulate others, or to get attention and sympathy. They might apologize profusely, not because they're genuinely sorry, but because they want to appear remorseful. They might even use guilt trips to control others, making them feel responsible for their emotions and well-being. Let me give you an example. I once knew someone who would constantly accidentally post humble brags on social media. They talk about how they were so tired from volunteering all day, or how they were so stressed about a project they were working on. At first glance, it seemed like they were just being honest about their struggles, but as I got to know them better, I realized it was all just a ploy to get attention and sympathy. They were using their supposed humility to manipulate others into giving them praise and validation. Another example is the poor me syndrome. You know, when someone always talks about how hard their life is, how they're constantly struggling, and how nobody understands them. It's all about evoking sympathy and getting attention, rather than actually dealing with their problems. They might even use their supposed victimhood to control others, making them feel guilty or responsible for their happiness. Recognizing narcissism can be a game changer for our relationships and mental health. When we understand what we're dealing with, we can set boundaries, prioritize our own needs, and even learn how to communicate with them in a way that doesn't feed their narcissism. But the most important thing is to recognize that we deserve better.